Good morning, good to see you, my friends. My name is Jay Song. All right, we're about to go into our Bitcoin report and USDT.D report. Everything in today's video was never financial investment or trade advice of any kind. Everything is just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I eat red crayons for breakfast. Trading the markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. Now, we've been looking at Bitcoin quite carefully for a while. And some of the biggest things we have placed is a large weakness on Bitcoin. In our previous charts from October 20th, we saw and identified some strong weaknesses with the close the previous week. We should not be trading underneath these areas. It is around 111 and 113 that I told everybody that I was shorting Bitcoin because of the weaknesses that were starting to appear. And then the following 3 days later, I think it was on a Saturday, I'll let you guys know some more bearish things that were occurring. Back in September, I also wanted to post this. We were looking at RSI price base, using these as a price base, but we also saw that volume, that RSI was overextended, or we were saying that this was not appropriate for us to be continuing to use this as the bouncing point. So I drew this for you guys back in September 3rd when we did a special class on RSI. And this is what I showed you guys. Volume told us BTC needs to cool off on a weekly chart. RSI tells us that price is still bullish, but needs to cool off as RSI needs to fall and rest, and there should be some incoming momentum. So at that moment, it was not appropriate for us to come up, and then we need to look at this in context again in terms of health or weaknesses or what's actually happening with price. But at the time, it is telling us that price should cool off. BTC needs to cool off on the weekly charts, and that's a long game. And the number I gave you guys was approximately around $90,000. So it was around 90,000 average that we drew this area for you guys. The smaller local weaknesses coming into play, which were these weaknesses here, is important as well, but also letting us know that there's no real big reason for prices to rise in these seasons, at least based on some of these things. The other thing we discussed the following week of in the past few weeks was about the Bitcoin rising, and also on the weekly chart the inward deviation of RSI, and it's telling us that Bitcoin overall is also going in the wrong direction and itself needs to cool off. And that is not in this photo, but it was in the subsequent weeks when we discussed after this particular chart. So the first thing we noticed was that weakness is coming in the market, and then we noticed that the RSI was coming down in the previous week. So that was going to be the weeks of October 20th. Now, the other things I noticed about Bitcoin that you guys need to remember, we've been touting it. There's a report, it's public, it's on YouTube. We made two reports public, one this past week, I think it was earlier in the week, and then the other, maybe it was the Saturday video, and then the previous week we did a public report so that everybody knows how I stand, how I feel, what I'm observing, some of the things I'm seeing in the market. But we saw the volume increasing at the challenge area. The challenge was very telling for us because we should not be increasing. If we challenge but we cannot resolve supply, that means the buyers, if there's buyers in the market, are not winning. And November 1st, 2025, BTC, I reminded everybody, this indicates even if there are large buyers at 108,000 average, they are not winning because of the supply. Now this one was on Saturday. Okay, they are not winning or absorbing the supply. Because of the increase in supply, this makes higher prices difficult. Price should gravitate lower if more weakness confirms this. So anytime we see weaknesses combined with the volume, we're looking for prices to come down. I'm going to say it again. Anytime you see that the volume challenging areas on increase in volume, that means that the challengers are losing the battle. If you confirm it by weaknesses or prices moving into those smaller weaknesses, such as this upline right there, you can see that you can draw more of that, or the larger stories, that if you see those kinds of things happening, here's since April of 2025, if you see prices entering into these territories combined with the challenge volumes showing that the challengers of the bullish side are losing, you're coming down. That's where you're more likely to statistically on average go. So this is why I gave you guys this report and then we did target system tracking the whole area, and target system told us to 99. So this is why I told you guys 99 to 97 is where primarily we're looking to hit. In addition to all of that, we have a larger support line we're going to examine in just a little bit, because because that's a vortex. Where they all come together is what we call a vortex. Others, teachers might call that a confluence of influence. So things that are influencing the market and are all confluent, they call them together. But I just call them vortex because it acts like a little sucking zone where prices tend to gravitate as things are, because now the supports are not just the buyers, the psychological areas there, but also the psychological areas of the trend and other factors. So vortexes can be a mix of a lot of things. Now, we did not come into our health, which is the green area. We did not come into our health, so we don't have any reasons to come up here. It's a faded away. And what I'm doing lately, a lot of my charts is I'm putting the arrows more in white, the more confident I feel. But I also give you lots of the options as I have with the green dots for years. But right now, I've been letting everybody know 99, 99, 99. I got the notification yesterday that price hit 99. So you guys all know. Now, the two other big areas, we're going to get into USDT.D in just a moment. But let's take a look at Bitcoin today. So there's our 99. And this is where we have hit. Okay, so this is our target. And now our target's hit. So we're going to fade that away and put the word hit. So I can say hit. And I'm just going to move this to the right. And we're going to fade away this. Okay, a bit. So now we need to understand and check for the foundational line in this down move, and we're going to extend that out. Okay, so we're going to extend that out, and I'm extending for, in this case, wick match, because the core is here and the wick match is here. You can draw both the wick match and the core, but if you do, I like to make them one dashed and one not. But basically, it's something like that. Okay. Now the next weakness starts occurring primarily underneath this line. So let's talk about that line. Where is it? How far is it? And how strong is it? You tell me. This line is made up of this angle from there to there. The other thing about this angle is that I think it's about the same as this one. So we're going to check. And that means that our key angle would actually be this, and our phantom is actually somewhere down here. So I'm going to give you about the core average. This is a 2-day chart. So it's somewhere about right here, possibly a little bit lower. But when we include this part right there, which is important, it's going to give us support here. So this should be a bounce area for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's going to move up, it's going to move up here. The problem is I don't want to buy it unless I hit something to confirm that bullishness, and that's that red watch line I gave you guys a little bit earlier. So you guys all have that one. Now, that means that I would not want to trust Bitcoin until we're there. That means I have to phase into health. The problem is if I continue phase, I can also phase into weakness. So therefore, I don't want a move like this. I want to move like this. I want to go up. Okay. So right now, that's possibly on the board, and I can watch for that. So if I see us start going up today and we beat this number, then I can say and make a more proper assessment that says, hey, we should be going up. If prices stay stagnant and we don't get into that territory there, and that doesn't happen, then weakness is on the horizon and we're going down. And you can tell because we should not be trading outside of this oscillation. Okay, now it's not saying we're not going to wick outside, because we may wick. I'm looking for those big closes underneath those areas. Okay, I'm looking for that. That's primarily what I'm looking for. I'm not looking just for the exception to the rule. So that means we can get outside here, but primarily I should not be getting some strong closes in that territory. If I do, especially if I go up like that or around on the underside of that, I'm going to be looking to come down. So that's why I started giving circles back in the day, because when I first started doing this, I'd always draw this symbol, which is still the symbol, but a circle just encompasses the same move because it's a circle. Okay, you understand? So that's why I do that. But this is basically telling me when and what should happen. I will let price tell me, because price is the best indicator of itself. All right, now when that happens, we calculate for event line. If we move into here, the next thing that's going to happen is event line. Event line's the last angle before weakness. The problem with event line is, in this case, it's not the local event. We know that because the lowest energy center in this area is there. So that's where the last event is. So if I come up here, generally that's going to be an event line is supposed to give me some kind of support. But in this case, if I come here, it's going to more act like a resistance. So that's also in play, but only to a negative side. It's not going to act like a saving grace in this. So I'm not putting my heart on that one. However, I do have an event line that should be more appropriate, and that's going to be this one, okay? That event line is going to be much more appropriate. Let me give it to you here so we can calculate it for you. It's going to be something like that, and we'll draw it professionally. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that angle. This is the more larger event line, and it should be a stronger one. This is going to tell us how far Bitcoin is supposed to fall. If Bitcoin falls there, then we're looking for a bounce. And if Bitcoin loses its then we'll be the first to know it. So once we have the event line, I'm just going to label that EV. I'm going to take this angle. We're going to duplicate it and bring it to the lower side. And this is our event line right there. Okay, so it should be here, which means if things go south, then the number where we fall to is whatever price this is for that day. Okay, and that means that if we come straight down, the number is lower today, and in the future it's higher, but it's still the same angle. That's why I don't care about the price. I never care about the price. I care about the angle. The angle will help me calculate whatever price is for the day. You don't try to recreate my prices, recreate the angle. As time goes on, the prices will change. You're concerned about the angle so you can observe what's happening in real time. It's quite simple. Okay, so weakness below there, and that's where we should get our bounce as well. Okay, so this is where things should change, and we'll give you an estimate of what that price is. So if it falls today, the number is closer to 84,000. Okay, so that's number one, 84K. If it's later in March of next year, we're talking about 89. Now, we already did a special this Saturday, and I gave you guys the average spread, and I said USDT.D shows we should hit these numbers possibly within a week, but it could take a lot longer. So it can be as early as 1 week. And sure enough, I think Royal was right. He was like, within 2 weeks. And it was like the next day, which was yesterday. Good job, bro.
I know something.
Oh, okay. I want to know what it is. You tell me. Okay. So this is where we're going to be looking possibly, and I'm letting you guys know in advance, okay? So you guys know I give you the maps like sometimes years in advance. I show you guys the biggest stuff. I'm going on vacation this Saturday. I don't want you guys panicking because you know what my larger sentiment is in the market. Most of the stuff I'm tracking is not like the intraday stuff that you guys often are tracking. You guys are like, oh, price went up today on a 15-minute chart. I really don't care. That's just because my life doesn't permit that right now. I care about what's happening in the larger story so I can know when things are really changing so that nothing catches me off guard. Stuff that are within that stuff, that's the 15-minute stuff that many traders do. But primarily my job is to see the larger story, the larger map, so you know when something's changing, when you know when it starts becoming dangerous. We saw because of the volume, it was dangerous to take bullish moves on Bitcoin. We saw because of the territory and of where Bitcoin was, we're less likely to have something new happen right now. But when things start changing again, then you guys know. Now I'm letting you know in advance so you guys all know when the game changes. It changes there. I told you where USDT.D changed. I told you all in advance when it was starting to change. We're going to get to that in just a second. And you need to pay attention for when the game changes on you. Okay, here's USDT.D. We started seeing signs that the game was changing in this delay territory. We started seeing with these closes that meant, hey, something's wrong. We're more likely to start cracking here. When we did not get the weakness that we were waiting for to trigger the next bullish moves at 4.2%, when we did not get that and price was showing signs that we are not getting it, and we phase into this, we're more likely to come up. When this comes up, cryptos come down. Our targets to the top side should be more likely hit than our targets to the downside. Now, these two areas I'm very confident are going to be hit. I saw them in a vision. One in a vision, one in a dream, but they're not on the board yet. They're not there. They're not in play. Right now, what's on the board was those higher numbers that are in play. And I gave you all of the scenarios. So you have them, whether I'm on vacation or not, you guys have them. And I also do tutorials on how to calculate those. So that had my star, which is sometimes the more emphasis on where it is. The game should move up, then we should possibly move down. The problem is we moved all the way up to the high number, 5.57. We didn't just move up here. We came all the way there and spiked all the way back down to the target. And that was primarily what happened. So we're going to get to that in just a second. But I want you guys to pay attention to these bigger things that are happening because they're on the board at certain times. Okay, so let's go to finish this. I'm going to plot now the event line in case we need it. So if you're saying, Jason, we got some negative closes. Oh, what's going to happen next? You already know, right?
What if we don't? What if we stay on top of that red line? What date are we going to know for sure? What is that date right there?
Yep, we can calculate the date, right? You guys all know this. Lily knows this. We calculate the date because we can track the down movement and the up movement. They meet together here. Let's find out where that is, approximately. So we'll draw both, and I'll give you guys the official lines. Let me just memorize this angle. Okay, the event line, and there we go. So let me close. I'm going to change those lines to match these colors, by the way. So this one's going to be red. We're going to make that really big. This is going to be red and really big. This is our key angle on top. And this is our phantom. Now it already is labeled phantom. And now we're going to calculate for the event line, which was this one. And I did it in blue right now, so I'll just change this to light blue. So the price for the event line, EV, approximately is a little lower, possibly on the 2-day chart. It's going to be here. So now we have something very important. Let's talk about this. I'll change this one back to white. Because I have wick match, I'm more concerned with this date, November 27th. I'll call it for you right now, okay? And I'll put a call out. Right there, November 27th. You guys still with me?
I think you're hitting the target, Jay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What's the date right before that?
The date for the core, November 23rd. So, I think that's right around Thanksgiving in America. Let's just do this. I'll give you the date range, okay? So November 23rd to 27th, emphasis on 27th because wick match. All right, now what do we got here that is important besides the event line? The one I gave you guys in this image. What's there that's important? Okay, what is this? Target system. Target system is order block. Order block is based on the previous moves. So when we measure the previous moves, it's telling us there's a target here. Now we already hit our first target and already came up quite a bit, right? We hit it yesterday. Here's 98. We hit 98. Came all the way up to just today, I think it was 105. Huge range, right? Very wide range. Not bullish enough for me to take trades on that. That's dangerous, guys. Dangerous for me until I have some reason to do it. Some of you guys buy those real quick, and I know that there's people who buy at the rejection, and maybe I want to do it. That's going to fall into scalper territory. Not wrong with scalpers. You guys are amazing. You have some serious cojones, okay? You guys are, you have that statistical edge, if I can say that, okay? Not to be vulgar. But you guys pros. I don't like to do it myself unless I have a strong reason to. One day I might scalp that. I have to be awake to do it. Okay. But when you scalp, you're in for small profits in very short times. You can, if I was trading this, I might do it on a 15-minute chart, an hourly chart, and just buy at the rejection. I've seen order block pros and they do things like that. So they'll take that trade. Here's an hourly chart and they'll buy. If you do that, make sure you buy with local health. If you're doing things like that, okay? What I mean by local health, have a reason and a local health. So if this was an hourly chart and I know my target's down here and I'm going to buy at that target, I'm only in for short profit and you need some kind of health. That's how I like to do it. So I would personally buy right there if I was going to buy. So today we'd be looking for it to go up. But remember, draw your foundational lines because they tell you how much profit is on the board. In this case, you have little profit. Okay, but that's for you local traders. Trade within your larger territories if you guys are doing things like that. Okay, trade within your larger territories, and that means from a top-down perspective, understand what's going on. We did an example on a crypto the other day called ZBK, and I did an advanced gesture all the way on a minute chart. But that chart was just a preview for when we did the map. When we actually did the map, the whole thing was negative, so we couldn't take any bullish trades anyway, only the short ones, even in gesture only. So we did gesture on the larger time frames. Gesture was telling us the whole map is negative. So we wouldn't have wanted to take trades bullishly even on a minute chart, only the short ones. That's how you do top-down trading. We draw these larger maps. Here's a 2-day chart so you can understand. It's also in alignment with that larger weekly chart. So those are the kind of things. If I know I'm in this territory, I can only take shorts. I can only short. So I'll be hunting those down moves when I see them and trade them in kind. Okay, that's what I would do in this territory. Now in this territory, it's a little bit of a different story. We're still oscillating, but if I'm in a bearish area or territory based on maybe flats, and then maybe I can do something more appropriate. But if it's dangerous, don't trade it. You don't have to be right. Get your ego out of the way. You don't have to be right. You don't have to guess them all. You only need to take the ones that you can hunt. When you're hunting, sometimes it's too fast. You don't have to just prove yourself, I can hit him because he's fast. Go for the sick ones. Do like the wolves do. They hunt, they stay for days, and they just scare them. They'll bite and see are the fish biting? If they're not biting, they move to a different spot. If there's no sick ones and they're not weak, then I'm not going to go after them. But when I see the weak one as a wolf, you go after that sheep, and then you eat that sheep or that elephant or whatever it is. And I don't mean to be vulgar, but that's exactly what happens when you're hunting. Okay, so let's calculate these final numbers. I'll go on to USDT.D. All of you should have peace because nothing here is new. Okay, nothing here is new in these territories.
And if you did targeting system again with a new price action, you think we wouldn't get a different target, a newer?
We shouldn't because the target was only from here to here anyway. So there's no new price action that should be included. If I was doing a target system based on from here to here, it would only give me targets on the top side, and you can do those more locally. So if you're expecting stronger pullbacks, that's how you do that kind of thing. Me, I would be only looking for price to hit about here anyway because of a flat and because of the down move. So this becomes a type of vortex. Although I'm not drawing it here, putting so much effort on that one, but it would be something like there, okay? If you're looking. And if I did target system and I see a target that overlaps there, I would. But there's too much stuff for me to do target on here. But I'll show you just as a quick preview. We'll see what it says. So target from here down to today. Targets above, that one's still there, and target here. So price should be finding resistance about right here, which is what we just drew on an hourly chart, right? So maybe we're not looking to get all the way back up to there today. Okay. But that's just based on that one. Now, again, the larger target I will do, just to confirm we did it right. Now, I can do this one of two ways. I can hit this to the top, or I can hit the second lows or the third low to the top. In this case, I'm going to go the farthest out because I have 3 lows at the same area. Target is still approximately in the same area. Yeah, I did it right. Yep. Yeah, it's still about here. So target there. There's one more targets on the bottom side. And this one I did not draw, so I will draw that now. And it's about here. And then we have so this is all about the same area. And I put emphasis on the lower side. So yeah, I'm just going to extend that out a little bit higher. So 90,000 is where I'm going to be looking. 90,000. Where my emphasis is going to be based on what I can see.
Yeah, can I say something?
Tell me.
Robin Canahan at Target, he said, man, I'll blow up when you said this. He said when it reaches to 90, that's where the time's gonna go up.
Wow.
I was just watching you. You're hitting all the target. And I said 2 weeks. You said it's about somewhere. You're right that day. So I was just basing on what you're in your graph and what I heard. Hey, you're in the right target.
Good.
It matches. It matches all what I have searched and heard.
Wow, praise God. Now here's a vortex that is a maximum, so you guys have an average date for when these things are coming together. This is around January 2nd. Now it's very possible all of these things can be hit within 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm just letting you know the maximum that price could play. So if price decides to take its sweet little time and continues to show weakness, then we're there. The next weakness is not yet in play as of now, and that's that one. So we're going to make sure that you guys understand that larger weakness is not yet in play. So that's why I denoted it by 2 separate moves. This move, which now is complete, and this move, which is not yet appearing. So on the opposite side of this, that's that. Okay, so I'm going to bring this and extend this down a little bit closer to 90,000. And then I'm also going to put Prophet Robin's comments here, because I didn't know that he said that. Thank you, Royal. You were going to say...
There's also a prophetic price, I believe, of 92k, so may not get all the way down to 90. I'm thinking about longing at 92.
Okay. And who said that one? Do you have a name?
I don't know. It's just in my head.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to put Ian. Okay. So we got 90, 92, what you're sensing. Again, when we were at 113, 111, 113, 110, I had... When I first saw the weaknesses, somebody emailed me the day before and said, I woke up this morning and heard get out. And they believe they were talking about the crypto market. I don't know who it was because the name is somebody who's contacted me, but they changed their name. So I don't know who it was in the past, but they've contacted me several times over the years. But this time they heard get out. And that was when they were at 111. Now that was exactly which was great, because the very next day is when we saw all the weakness in the market that I saw in these days. So that was up here. And I don't know if that's a permanent thing or whatever, but again, it was perfectly matching the territories on USDT.D. So that's why I did my public report, because I saw weaknesses and they're lining up with lots of other prophetic stuff. And then that very week, the 3 days before, on the Saturday, I think it was Triple J, House, and a few other people were having negative crypto dreams that they were indicating that something's going to go wrong in the market. They're expecting some lower prices. And we put together 5 dreams and we said, this is painting a bearish picture. And I told people, tomorrow I'm going to release then my report. And I did on YouTube. So that's all lining up with what we're seeing. So now let's give this a track and finish up these numbers, okay? So all of this indicating right there, that point, vortex over and over 90,000 area. And here's what is this, 88? So the lower side. So I'm going to put this back again and make sure you guys have the target 90K. And I'll give you the range, 95 to 89. Okay, and I'm just going to put 90K average. And I'll move this, like to the bottom, or I'll move this inside, and I'm going to draw a star when this is in play. So this is not in play right now, but you guys need to understand what my sentiments are on Bitcoin, so you guys understand, and why I took the short that I took. Okay, now I have bad news that I'm gonna confess to you guys about my short. No, we're not in here yet. This is when we go up. All right, now I'm gonna confess my shortcomings. Okay, I got out of my short, but not for the reasons you guys think. We were doing, we have a guest coming and we needed some money, so we did a withdrawal from the account, and I had 2 shorts. One of them was on MEXC, and the other was on a different exchange. We did a withdrawal. I was like, oh, I need to do the withdrawal. And I moved the money from futures. But the problem is I don't like to leave the futures account without a surplus, because you always want to have a surplus in futures because it pulls on that unless you're doing like isolated margin. And it's a little complicated. So you always want to leave a pool of money and not trade everything in your futures. So if the account goes negative as it's still starting, if the trade is starting, then what will happen is it'll pull into the futures pool. If you don't have enough, it'll margin you. So it'll just cancel your transaction even if you're right. So you like to have a pool of money. So I did a withdrawal and I didn't know how much to keep extra. So I just moved the money out of the futures account. And I said, okay, I'll get back in after I do the withdrawal. I did the withdrawal, forgot it. I was like, yeah, I got the other one. And then the very next day, the MEXC stuff came out. And I was like, oh, I better get out of everything. So I just got out of everything on MEXC and tried to transfer what was able to that next exchange. I never got back in. When I was like, yes, it came down. I hit my target. I checked. And I was like, oh, no, I never rebought on my other exchange. And I closed out the short on the other exchange. So I have two shorts. First one closed. Second one closed. I don't have any short. So I didn't make any of the money on there. But I did got out of a large percentage of most of my positions because of the USDT.D. I'm still looking for some things to short, but as it is, I'm just letting you guys know I did not make that money down to 99. My short would have been triggered, and that was nice. And I was in two positions, but unfortunately, I do this full time, but we also have, I'm not a wealthy man yet, so we live off of again, I don't have a job like many of you guys, so when we have to eat or something, we have to withdraw, and unfortunately that prevents me from sometimes accumulating my own wealth. So we really appreciate all of your support. We need that support, and I thank you guys for supporting us. When you support us so I don't have to withdraw from my own account, I can build my account and I can do more successfully. When we have to eat or pay rent or all the bills that we have to pay in our ministry, it's harder to build wealth. And I want to build wealth with a longer term. This is what we're doing. And I appreciate all of you guys who support our ministry with tithes and offering. If you'd like to give to our ministry, in every one of our videos and in the reports and image notes, it's there. You can scroll down and you'll see how to give. We're going to finish today with USDT.D. Did I have any other questions about Bitcoin before we finish Bitcoin?
I don't know if you've covered it already, but if it did bounce from here and go a little bit higher, do you know where it gets to?
Yeah. It was primarily there. That's going to be closer to a little bit below 11,000. So what are we talking about? Hold on. We're talking about 108,000. So I would be expecting about 108, 107 if you were to the top side. Draw your foundational line. You got most of what you need. But focus, heavy emphasis on wick match because the wicks match. So that's going to be the higher number. So if we come straight today, the number is that 112. Later in the week, we're looking at closer to that 107. If I was accounting for just today's, that 1 hour chart that we drew just a little while ago, then we're going to be drawing more this immediate down move here for today. But I would just give myself a wide berth of 108 around there. Okay. So maximum today, I don't think we're going to come all the way back up, but if you do, that's very volatile. Look for the close above there on high volume. If that happens. If it does happen on high volume, you're going down because selling has to happen on up moves, up bars, and up trends. If you start building up in that area right there on high volume without the push, it's wrong. They're dumping. Get out. Warning. But we'll look at that volume when I get back from vacation, if we have it. Otherwise, you guys can, you know what to do. Any other questions? Bitcoin going once.
So we don't need to draw mid-phantom? I always draw mid-phantoms, but I wouldn't know where to draw it. Like
the purpose, you notice I rarely draw mid-phantoms except for the purpose of step-ups. That's just what I do. Mid-phantoms are often designed to be disrespected. If you draw a mid-phantom, Lisa, you're going to draw it between your higher wick match and your lower area because you hit here and you hit here, so your midpoint is actually there, not between the reds. It's about there. So I will show you. There's your mid-phantom. Mid-phantoms give us step-ups. Step-ups should be confirmed. Step-ups are when we cross over, we draw a flat. In this case, there. So what is this going to put emphasis on? Again, the 108,000 range. Here's 109. Here's 104. Somewhere between here should act like resistance. Still the same story. So you can draw step-ups if you want to, if you're more isolating the smaller, what's happening smaller. Okay. More questions. iPad says Milton has 92. Okay. That's my target range. I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to put this over my target, a border. So not just the target system, but actually my emphasis. When you see me do these kinds of things, that's me putting myself on the line. I give myself like that. Okay, that's where I'm expecting to hit. That's what I did. So that's going to be in lieu of my star. Ooh, you can't see my, yeah, that's better. Okay. Questions going once, Bitcoin. Going twice. All right, finally, USDT.D. This is the start of the USDT.D section. We go to the weekly chart, 2-day chart. All right. Let's pull up some images that I prepared before the class session. And again, we're talking about USDT.D. Our previous chart started showing hints that we were in delayed territory. We should be moving to higher areas with more statistical edge. We have 3 areas that are important. Here at 3.52. Here at 2.9, 2.7, neither of these are in play. They don't become into play until 420. Once we start building below 420, we're going to be looking for a bull movement. Those are not in play. What's in play is the higher numbers at 4.53%. That's when we started that. These start coming into play. All of those numbers, the 4.7 and the 5.71 that are up near the highs, are already now hit. 5.7, they're all done. We started hitting these areas and coming back down. But we also saw a comparison of the volume, and the volume started telling us. Now I drew something else on USDT.D, and the thing that I drew also is important. And that's going to be this, some of the other things. This is going to be gesture. We drew gesture. And gesture shows us that once we start building above this line, on average, things are wrong. Okay, our gesture line is approximately here in the middle. We draw a phantom, and our mid phantom, this is all 50%. So this is our verification. If we bring it to the top side, we match 50%, 50%. So this is a verification. Gesture verifies itself. And that means that once we're trading here, we should be going up. And that's exactly what happened. We got closes above these areas. They're in purple. You'll see them on my map. And that was also letting us know we're going higher. So this chart is revealing a lot of important information. Okay. This is, I think these are now the older ones. So all we still have is those. So these are areas we've been predicting for quite a bit. And we need to understand what's going on. Now, this weekend, I gave you guys a more appropriate look. And that's going to be this one. So I'm going to show you something else. And we're going to look at it today because I haven't looked at it today. I try to do this live so you guys understand I'm not trying to eschew the teaching. I often try to do stuff so you can understand right off the spot what's happening. Okay, so we gave you a few things in the recent weeks. One of the things I gave you was this large curve down and a move here. Now that one already happened and we hit. I also gave you this red line here, a highlighter, to emphasize we broke above and we built. We broke above and we built. October 18, a significant close above 5% should indicate bearish crypto markets. And what happened? We got it. We got that. That was telling us these weeks. Shoo, see all this? What the heck are we doing in this territory? And now building twice on this. Vincent twice. Vincent twice. We're building above that 5%. The support is 4.69 after that. I don't care if we come back down to 4.69. That's not the bullishness. That's a pullback. That's a retracement. And I let all of you guys know so you guys know what we're looking at. Once the game changes, you got to be very careful, my friends, once the game changes, you got to be careful of the not observing the change. If I come down here, I'm not going to get fooled by trying to be bullish the markets. No. Now the game changed. The game already told me it changed here. So I don't need to trade any bullish. I don't need to trade that bullish. I need to only get ready for the pullback so I can start shorting. When this goes up, cryptos come down. That's the only thing I need to do. If you're doing more and you get those closes, you're going higher, which we already did. Okay, so this tells me the area that's very much in play. Now that area is based on a larger story of what's happening. So let me delete all of that because all of that's done. That's why I give you guys this all the way to there. So you know what we're talking about, those numbers, when you see them. Okay, so what was this? This is a screenshot from copy of Monday. We also did the average on Monday, November 3rd. Based on the average spread candle, it is possible to finish hitting the 5.7 in a week, but this may also take longer. It is likely in November. Okay, so likely we took the average spread and we calculated that it can hit within 2 weeks. That's why I said good job, Royal, because he said it's going to be within 2 weeks, and it was within a very short time, and it was hit yesterday. I think should be, right? So now I'm showing you the larger stuff. We got this larger parabolic, and I gave you guys that, and I showed this is the more proper oscillation. So all this little stuff, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we hit the 5.71 previously during the flash crash. Now we came down, and that old 4.69 was now support. We should be getting there. Measuring the volume, we should be getting there. We talked about that. We talked about that large purple parabolic, and those closes this week are telling us we need to be playing up. So everything's telling us we need to gravitate. The weather's telling us we're getting there. These are in play. And that's what you all need to remember. If this is in play, you're trading against the market if you're bullish right now for many things. We have a large accumulation list with 16 items on it, 17 now. All of them are dangerous if they're fighting against the market. All of these are dangerous. Okay, hear what I'm saying? Got a lot of large accumulation stuff, but a lot of them are mostly, we're looking for lows. We're looking for things to hit our lows. The banks who started buying, they're now playing against the larger market until a certain time, such as we hit these targets and move forward. So all of this is our previous maps. You guys didn't need any new things for this. We know we can hit it within 2 weeks. We know we're coming down. We know we've been coming down and changed the game. The game changed here. The game changed here. This is what's highly statistical for us. And now we're going to be looking for resistances at these areas. Let's now put it all together from our previous charts. And we're going to pull up, and I'll see what's happening today. So USDT.D, there we are. 5.71, hit. Okay, so this old one hit back on October 10th, and that was from months ago. And then we hit it again, but we also wicked to where? To 5.71, almost exactly, or exactly, to the T. I really like our maps. I really like that you guys are here. Thank you for your support. I'm so glad to be able to share these maps with you. I hope, I told you, if the markets are bearish, unless you're shorting, it's hard to make a lot of money. But I hope over the years I've saved you guys thousands of dollars, at the very least. I hope I've saved you a lot of money over the years by warning you of the territories and the dangers when it's time. There's a lot of prophetic information that the crypto markets are going up. I had prophetic information that crypto's going up. I've had dreams. But the first things the Lord showed me was not bullishness. It was a large crash. And then he showed me great wealth based on XRP and a few other things. I believe the markets are going to go up. The problem is I also saw the markets coming down in a great crash. So over the years, we've seen the markets go up and come down. I'm waiting for this big crash event, and like a real crash, a real big one. And for me, those territories right now are above 6.7 up there. That's going to be when we break out of this oscillation. That's going to be that's when that's going to trigger. Another time we're going to trigger is when we're down here near 2 point something. When we're here, I'm going to be looking for a big reversal, possible large crash right about here. Okay, that's what I'm going to be looking for that. And if we come to a very high, when we come down all the way to here, that's going to be a very bullish move. And when we come all the way back, it's going to be a large crash. So those are things I see in the future. But again, none of them are in play. They all move to the right. The only one that's in play now is this one's done. What did I say? Bearish move for crypto. This has been hit. Update. November 5th. This has been hit. Now we got to talk about, are we going to reverse here? And I'll show you how to do it. Now for this, I'm going to show you this line, okay? So watch me carefully. When is the market going to reverse? Here, right there. Okay? This will be the sign that things are about to change. You want this to come down if you're going to be bullish. Right now, the higher number is still on the board for the wick match, 6%. I'm going to make it really bold. This is the good stuff. This is why you pay me the big bucks of $18 a month. And by big bucks, smoking deal. 6.5% is still on the board. Why am I concerned with 6.5? Because of wick match. Okay? I got this wick and this wick that still tell me here. Now the average core has been hit. But wick match at 6.5 is still on the board. And that means we got room for more bearishness, which is another negative day or a few days. See the average spread? We're not far from the average spread. It can happen in a day. It can happen in a week. It can happen with a maximum time of December 7th. Which means that we're not bullish. Everybody got that? As I come to a conclusion for today, November 7th tells us when we have a chance, December 7th, maximum. We need to come down and we need to come in. And it can happen today. We can come all the way back down and come some weakness, and then we got some fighting chance to start doing some things. But right now, it's not in play. Therefore, based on its most recent uptrend, you got to be careful. Use wisdom. Use caution. It's not time. Okay? Use wisdom. Use caution. Use time. Okay. Do I have any further questions about what we're talking about? All of that's complete. So now, what do you guys also want to know before I go? I won't look at cryptos, but I will look at this or tell you what I feel about the markets, or at least from my data. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before. I'm just telling you the data as I see it now. 6%. If I get to 6%, we're very close to the upward oscillation. Last time we got there, we didn't hit it. We got this far and didn't hit the top. This far, didn't hit the top. This time, if we hit here, we're more likely to spike. You guys see that? I'll show it to you again real quick. We got here, the foundational area is the most important area, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, maybe even 5 right there. Maybe even 6. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a strong foundational area. Gosh.
I heard the number 672 one morning about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago.
I'm bringing this down to the average core. You said you heard the number what? 672, House?
Yeah.
Okay, look it. Let's bring this down to the...
I have a feeling that's where it's going to go.
Let's bring this to approximately today, around the average core, 672. Okay. I don't have a strong wick match for here, anything higher, but about the average core and wick is about right here. Okay, this is called your foundational area, or foundational watch line, or foundational key angle. I just call it foundational area key. Okay, so this is important, and I'm going to write this down so you guys all know. If you draw one line, draw this one. It's when the game changes. If all you did was one line, important. Let it be this one. Jason, I don't know how to recreate all of your lines. That's fine. Draw one, this one. May God bless you and help you. That one. And I'm going to circle it. important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is over several years. This is all the way May 2022. May, July 2022. 2022. Here's September 2023. You need to see the tidal wave on the horizon. You need to see what's coming. Draw it. Take a screenshot now. Got it? Yeah, Triple J heard that quite a bit. 7 numbers. What would BTC be if 6.72? I'll have to take a look. There's a way I can try to give an estimate. Let's now draw our next block since this is done. Okay, this one's hit. So now I'm going to draw another one. I'll fade this away. I'm going to draw another block of my next target, and I'm going to draw this like this. Okay. I'm going to draw that, and then I'm going to make a prediction. And I'm going to put the prediction on the top, on the right, and I'm going to say the wick of this line should be hit, the foundational line. So I'm going to say 6 point, and I'm going to agree with you, House, 6.72. I don't always agree with every prophetic. I don't try to disagree or agree. I just try to do the data. Ask Triple J. She gives prophetic numbers all the time, and many times her numbers are matching my lines. So my job is to operate in the gifting that I have right now, unless the Lord prophesies crypto to me, which he does sometimes. In other senses, this is a type of prophetic in some cases. Not always. You have to pray yourself and see. Royal says sometimes he sees that I get in this mode, and I felt the anointing come upon me, and I feel like I'm prophesying sometimes as I'm just teaching. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I'm just teaching. 6.0 to 6.7%. I'm going to be more accurate. I'm going to go to the 6.5. Okay. Yeah. 6.5. Okay. So, if weakness occurs, that's not in play. If weakness occurs. So that's going to be a down arrow like that. But because I don't believe that's what the case is right now, I'm fading that away. I am still in the camp that this is not done. So I'm going to draw this as my more immediate prediction. All right. 6.7, and since 6.5 is just the wick, we might wick there, come down. So I'm going to bring this like closer to this line, and that's a dynamic negative number, so that's going to come down. So I'm going to say DN. Okay, so I know it's dynamic negative. That number will come to 6.33 in May of 2026, but most likely we're going to hit it before that. Okay, that's my final prediction regarding this chart. Do I have any other questions? My thoughts. Okay, this is where I believe it's going to happen. Please use caution with all your bullish trades, my friends. Okay. Triple J says opposite. It will go to 6s, 7 USDT.D. 7 numbers are going to be up in play up here, right about here. Okay, here's the earliest 7 is about right there. Okay, just a little above that 6.2. Everything is falling into place. Choo. Wow. Okay. Remember, people prophesied that they saw our community making money shorting. People have prophesied about that, about our community. Yeah, it's very possible. Okay, watch that area, and that'll be a big tell. Once we're there, guys, we'll know if we're going to be further bullishness or we're going to be looking for now the pullback. And I'll have a few ways we can go about it. Since we have a new low, I'm going to look at the RSI for us to change during those days. So RSI on higher time frames, like a monthly chart. There's our RSI, one of our RSI price bases. We'll be looking for RSI to be up here during those days. So if that happens, we're in for a reversal. We're not even close to hitting RSI price base. Let's go to a 2-week chart. Are we any closer? No, we're not any closer, which means we still got more room. Not close. Not close. So RSI price base tell us that there's still a lot of room to the downside. Okay, we did a whole tutorial about that. It's in our 7.0 section of our lessons page. Type in lessons. What else? Is that all? The volume. The volume. The volume. Oh my gosh, look at this volume. I'm gonna hide my lines so you guys can see. Guys, can I take 5 more minutes? Do we need to go? Do you guys want me
Please take 5 more minutes.
Okay. Lily says, yeah. Should I? Yes, please, says iPad. Okay. What does this mean? Read the chat, Triple J. Oh, I read your comments, Triple J. Oh, about Shiba? Oh, a Volt. I didn't see anything about Volt in chat. Okay. Can you repost it? Oh, and you asked me, iPad asked me about the Bitcoin thing. Okay, no, XTC. What does it mean at the challenge area, RVZB, if the volume is higher the second time around? What does that mean? We're challenging this area, and when we did, from point A to point B, there was an increase in volume, a very strong increase, by the way. Here's area A, here's area B, here's area A, here's area B. The relationship was increased. What does it mean for the supply at the volume zone block? For any sellers. Gauging up bars that are close here, we have some sellers, up moves, some sellers. Are the sellers winning or losing? Are they winning or losing? For them to win, we have to see absorption of supply. So we need a winning condition. But the losing condition is also just important. The losing condition is just as important. What does it mean if the volume is increasing? Are sellers winning? Are sellers losing, I should say, is for this. Okay, Toya got it. Bridget got it. Crypto Galaxy got it. iPad. High selling at the support. Yeah, they're selling here. There's some selling, primarily this one. Possibly. If this is confirmed with weakness. Which it's not. Yet. But of these challenge areas, we see something very critical happening. Now I'm going to give it to you a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to show you something even more profound. And that is going to be approximately here. What if I'm reading for this whole level here? And really, let's change this now to A, B, and I'll give it C. A, B, and C. The volume is doing what at the challenge areas every time it challenges this area? The volume is doing what? Tell it to me. Unmute your microphones, please. The volume is doing what? Increasing, increasing. Good job, guys. The volume is increasing at these areas. And that means that even if they're sellers, they are losing the game. Sellers are losing. In this case, we know they're losing because the volume is increasing. The volume is equal to, and the volume is still aggregately high. A winning condition is a decrease in volume at the challenge areas, buyers or sellers. It is a low demand, which is aggregately low, and also a no demand, which is there's almost no volume at all. That's for a winning condition, and this is for a losing condition. So in this case, the sellers are losing. Why do we know this? Because it is this scenario here. So this is our legend. This is our formula. So we can examine and say to ourselves, well, they are in the losing category. This one has it. Okay. So they're losing here. Now, if the sellers are losing at this area and they're trying to bring price down, but there's evidence that they're not winning, what happens next to price? If the sellers cannot win the battle to hold price down, what happens next? More likely. What's more statistical edge?
They'll give up and let it drop.
But they're already trying to hold price down and try to make price drop by dumping. They're trying to sell and dump. But there's too many enemies. The enemies keep coming out every time they battle to try to bring it down. They keep trying to knock it down, but the enemies keep coming. They're getting outnumbered. The supply is showing there's too many reinforcements. Eventually, do they continue selling? What happens next to price? With more...
They let the price go up.
They let the price go up. That's right. Because it's very expensive to try to manipulate the price down. And another psychological thing is if you're trying to just do it to take profit, and you're trying to take profit at a high price, and for them it's a high price. If I want to sell price at $100,000, or I bought a home for $100,000 and I'm selling it for $500,000, but every time I offer it for $500,000, the line keeps getting bigger and bigger for people calling me wanting the home at $500,000. I'm gonna say it again. I'm selling a home at $100,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I bought a home at $100,000. I'm gonna sell it for $500,000. Every time I offer, the line for people demanding that price gets bigger and bigger. We know this because more people are trading at this price area. It keeps increasing. There's too many people willing to part. If too many people keep showing at your door and tomorrow 1,000 people show up and they want that 500 price, what does it mean? What does it mean happens next? What is the most logical thing for me to do if I have a line down the block of people wanting to buy my home at $500,000 according to the laws of supply and demand?
Put the price up.
That's right. You jack the price up. That's right. Higher bid. And because the market is an auction market, it operates off of it operates off of auction mechanics. What happens is, if there's too much supply, you stop selling at 500,000, and you just let it go to where it's going to naturally gravitate to. You can see that the supply keeps, too many people are willing to trade at the higher price. So you just, you know what, I'm not going to sell it no more. And you're going to remove your supply, and the price will automatically start going up if the demand is there, because it needs to find balance higher. This is why I'm more concerned with the upper region. Okay, this is why I'm more concerned with the upper region, because we need to understand the sellers are losing in this case. Okay, this is important. So that means it's more likely. Now, we're not always able to predict everything that happens in the market, especially immediately, but I'm letting you know, based on 3 challenges, it's more likely we're going to gravitate higher prices. So we're going to see higher prices. Now, the bad thing, if this chart is saying, I want more USDT.D, I'm sorry, I want more USDT, what does it mean for the crypto world? What does it mean? Cheap cryptos. When USDT goes up, cryptos generally go down. If we got a good finger on the pulse of the market, if we got a good finger on the pulse of Bitcoin, if we got a good finger on the pulse of the total market, if we got a good pulse on average cryptos entering into weakness, if we see 20 cryptos and a bulk of them are entering into weakness, we get a sense of what's happening. We don't have to guess anymore. We can be like, hey, market should come down. I called my brother-in-law. Market should be going down. I called my brother and said, hey guys, market should be going down. Don't expect profits right now. Expect to make some money on the downside. If you can short, find some things that are freshly entering weakness. Maybe enter some of those type of Bitcoin type moves at appropriate times, and make the profits in between. Let's finish up with just a commentary on this chart. Okay, because this is a long video. but I'm not going to be here on Saturday. Okay. Yep. All right, this is all done. I'm just going to put this off to the side here. November 4th. Let's write our findings. Let's put it all together. Volume on the higher 2-week charts indicate further bullish movement for USDT.D. This equals a bearish crypto market with a higher statistical edge. We also see our higher target at, and what was the number again that was hit? Sorry guys, right there, that one, it was 5.71, was hit exactly, and I need to write that down, was hit exactly at 5.71. Previously predicted. Evidence of wick match is on the board at 6.5%. And this is the yellow parabolic. Since the core was hit at 5.71, 6.05 is still in play at the moment. Is still very in play at the moment, because there is no sign of weakness on the daily chart, as indicated by the lower watch line. Okay, that's that. What I mean by that, guys, is that when I go to the smaller time frame, that daily chart, that one, this one right there, okay, that is not broken. There's no reason to start thinking the markets are bullish yet. When this comes down, they can be bullish, but until you're here, be careful. Otherwise, you're just trying to catch the falling knife. And right now, if you're going to catch the knife, catch it at 6.5. That's what I mean by that. Okay, let's continue. My final thoughts. This line is in white dotted, moving up. In addition, the larger white down foundational key angle is at 6.72 currently. House in our community saw this number also prophetically. That's how you spell prophetically. Triple J in our community saw 7% numbers. This number matches exactly today. This means that perhaps emphasis should be placed more so on that foundational area. In addition, this is within wick distance of the wick match parabolic. This means that if price rises here, it should spike to 6.72. So I'm not looking to close, I'm just looking to hit 6.72. Current price is 5.43%. This would be a large down move in the crypto world. You would see a flash crash. If this happens within 2 weeks. Okay, if it happens longer, it's going to be a longer move, but I think it's going to be quick and short-lived, to be honest. It can happen today. Does anybody have any other questions, my thoughts, my opinions on that? Okay, that's what I'm expecting, at least my opinion. And I'll show you the correlation of Bitcoin before I close. iPad says USDT.D may align with some have predicted in November. Current down, it will go up and then down and then higher up. Okay. For right now, thank you, iPad. That's where I'm standing. Then we can talk about what happens next. Maybe down or maybe up, but let's talk about there first. Okay. I have all the numbers higher than that. I got currently 8%. Okay. All right. Any other questions? USDT.D. I'm going to calculate the move up. It's approximately about the same move. This is how I'm going to quickly show. If I got that, it's the same move that happened from the dates of October 27th to today. So I'm going to go to Bitcoin and take a look and see what happened from October 27th to today. The move on, look at this, guys. The move here, October 27th to today, that was the USDT.D move. That's when I called the 113 and 111, remember? Okay, that was my top. The move has been so far this percentage, and that's the percentage we have left. Did you guys see that? iPad says, what would Bitcoin be? Did you see how I calculated that? With the higher core degree of evidence, I calculated how long the last move was based on the distance. I'm going to do it again so you can see that. USDT.D. So you guys can do this yourself. Not to show you, look, I can do this, but to show you how to do this. Now, all I'm doing is I'm taking a measurement today to my target. Okay, because that's how much I estimate. And then I using the same correlation from today onward, and I can give myself a approximate estimate. Here, the bottom was October 15th. So from October 15th to now, that's about how far we can move. Another one you could have done is, if you had another area, you can block it off. But basically, the time it took from USDT.D to go up here was about that far, right? So here's a date, October 14th. Now I go to Bitcoin and I go to October 14th, BTC. I go to October 15th and I see how far price fell to today. Because remember, that's what I get calculated for. There's October 15th. It's about right here, right there. So I go to October 15th and price moved this far. When BTC last went up, that's how far it moved. Now I have that much farther left from today. I'm here in this quadrant. Oh, sorry, from today. So it's telling me there's room to fall approximately that far. I know that maybe seems a little bit complicated, but that's how I just did that. Okay, you guys got it? One day maybe we'll have a class about how you can use those estimates. It's more abstract, but you can do it. Okay, I hope I bless you, and I'm a blessing to you by being able to show you these kind of things. So we have that much more room to fall on Bitcoin. 90,000 average. That's why I'm in the camp still of that. So it's more evidence that we should hit 90K. And I'll put this little off to the top. That was awesome. Right.
It says when it hits 90,000, will go up quickly to 100.
Okay.
Robin coming in said.
Robin said that? Okay. BTC has been measured at the end of November 5th session alongside USDT.D. Using the specific calculation of time left, of distance left, I should say, not time, distance left to move towards predicted targets plus previously moved distance in the same time, extended for today, tells us that Bitcoin should hit 90K area when USDT.D hits, and what was the number? 6.72 areas. Okay, so that's how I said that. That's amazing. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for showing our community how to calculate such things. That's all I got for you guys today. It's all gravitating to vortex. Side question: how much do you pay attention to numbers on the volume indicator? I don't care about the numbers for the most part. Or do you focus on the bars? I don't care about the numbers on the volume. To answer that question, I don't really care about the numbers. And the reason I don't really care about the numbers is because the numbers are all relative to whatever the average is. A crypto may be strong but only have a small pool of traders, but those traders have a psychology. I care about those numbers, the movement, and in that case, in that sense of the numbers, if it's a high number, it's going to be reflected in how tall it is. And then I use those in relationship to each other, the relative bars. So if they're aggregately high or overall high, that's what I care about. But the actual number itself doesn't really matter much to me, because that number is going to change per crypto, per their market cap. Okay, some are older. Bitcoin's has a lot larger market cap, so its volume needs to be much higher or much lower for it to be very relevant. It's all gravitating toward the vortex. Yeah, that's right. What is the BTC price at the lower target? It's below. At the lower target? The lower target for Bitcoin? I got a target here at 80,000. 80,075. That's a very negative spot. Don't get me closed in there. Don't get me closed in there. That's when you're really going down. It's not in play right now. We'll talk about it when it comes in play. All right. Anyone else? All right. I got to go, guys. I bless you. I got to leave you the room. I got a guest. Okay? God bless you, my friends. Take care.